Well, good morning. Welcome into Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shelly, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. And I'm told the black and white jacket gives that away every now and again, I guess. All right. Last day of the month. So we could be in for some shenanigans here today. We'll keep on top of that for you. And we'll finish that all up tonight or this afternoon, 1 Central, 2 Eastern with the Cow Guy close. We'll do a little bit of a deeper dive of what might have happened today or what's going to happen today. And we'll kind of try to make sure you're all square on what went through everything this month. And I'll say that this month has been a tough one to get started with. Well, because the stock markets are down, say Dow is down 4.5% for the month. We got the S&P down 7% and the NASDAQ down 12%. So that could, that's not really affecting our market. So that's the good news, right? So let's take a look at our markets and see what we've done overnight. Corn up 2.25 cents, 638.25. Up around 642.5 was the high. But look at this Dees corn, the new crop Dees. 575.5 is last. So, I mean, before the wheels turn and going into the spring planting, that's a good price, folks. I just have to say, that's a good price. How about soybeans? What do we got going on over there? 17.25 cents higher overnight. March contract is 14.87.25. Look how close we got to $15 in March. We did get there in May. We ended up at 14.92 in May, but we're up solid double digits in that soybean contract going into the this morning's open. All right, let's see what's going on in that Chicago wheat contract overnight. Chicago wheat was just slightly better here. March up 1.5 cents, 7.87.75. But look at that. We were about 11 cents higher at some point this evening, or last night, sorry. So that market's still a little bit volatile. And what we like to sometimes do is not just look at the change on the day, but let's look at the difference between the high and the low. There's 12.5 cents there in that March contract, so it wasn't exactly a slow one. How about hard red wheat in Kansas City? Kansas City, look, it just looks like we eked out a 2.75 cent gain. But again, there's a 14-cent range overnight, right? So we're at 8.05. We got an 8 in front of it for that hard red wheat in Kansas City. In March, how about spring wheat in Minneapolis? What is going on there? This one will make us, we're up a quarter cent in that March contract at 9.20.5. But again, another 14-cent range overnight. So a lot of the ranges are the same here in this wheat contract, but we're up just a tad. 3 cents higher in May, 9.20.25 in Minneapolis. And then lastly, and I came in this morning, this one was on fire, and it looks like it still is. 241 points higher in that March cotton contract, 126.17, and look at that range, right? Basically about a 3 cent range. That's big. So, all right, let's bring in our next guest. I've talked too much. Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solution. Thanks for putting up with me, Brian. What's top of mind to you here this morning?
Yeah, good morning, Scott. Yeah, we hit fresh contract highs overnight. Corn, soybean oil. We had another sale of soybeans to China this morning. So we have a lot of positive momentum from a technical standpoint, some fundamental support from the export sale. And then, what the market's been really rallying on is not only these inflationary pressures where you talked about cotton being sharply higher overnight, and I think that's spilling over into the corn market. You also have crude oil knocking on the door of $90 a barrel. That's got to be supportive to our new crop corn as well. But the forecast for South America, after mid-February, it's forecast returned to more of a hot and dry pattern once again, almost a La Nina type pattern that really hurt to the crops earlier this growing season in November, December, before some rains fell. So it could turn to a real dicey situation. And I think the market's starting to recognize that, put some premium in because of that forecast. And then also we're starting to see foreign buyers, including China, step back into the market and with some export business as a way to hedge their bets in case that weather pattern does turn hot and dry.
It seems like, we've got a barrage of news hitting us from all directions. And on top of it, we have to lay over Mother Nature, right? Because we've still got some issues down south with some worries there as well. So there's going to be lots to talk about between now and, say, when we pull this stuff out of the ground. Because I think that with the Fed embarking on this trying to quell inflation, and food and fuel, Brian, is such a large part of that inflation. If you can continue to see those two things rally in the face of their rate hikes, it could just cancel everything out. And that's going to be an interesting situation. So we'll wait and see. We're going to go away, pay some bills. Don't move. We'll be right back to talk some livestock with Brian Hoops after these messages. All right, welcome back to Market Day Report. Great to see you. Get another hot cup of coffee. Pull up a chair. We've got a lot to talk about today. Let's just see how we went home over the weekend in these livestock prices. How about live cattle? The cow guy wants to talk about live cattle. We were up 87 cents on Friday in Feb live cattle. 138.70 was last. Again, these food and fuel getting more expensive here on the government. We'll wait and see how they handle that. April was up $1.47 at 143.10. If we move over to see what the feeders did. What did the feeders do on Friday? They were just up a little bit. We had corn higher, so that was a little bit of a negative factor here, but feeder cattle powered on. March was up 12 cents, 159.62, and 20 cents in April at 165.30. And then let's see what the lean hogs did for us. Lean hogs were higher too, not by much, but still eked out a gain. February was up 90 cents, 87.92, while April was up 25 cents, 94.92. All right, let's bring back in Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, do you have any an inkling on how we might open up those livestock markets today?
You know, you talked about we're at the end of the month, so we could get some shenanigans, some positioning into these markets because of the end of the month, and that could happen in the cattle and the hog markets today. Other than that, cattle market I think is in real solid footing here. We had slaughter last week, 643,000 head. That's about 7,000 more than the previous week. It is down from the prior week, so we still have some room to go to improve that slaughter pace. But as we do, steer weights likely to continue to come down, which will be bullish for the cattle market. Weights were down 6 pounds last week, 3 pounds below year-ago levels. So we're headed in the right direction in that standpoint. So right now we're looking at cash calls steady to maybe $1 to $2 better than a week ago. The futures have dialed in some of this. Maybe we see a little positioning today, but overall by the end of the week we expect to see the cash and the futures both pointed upwards, trending higher.
Yeah, it'd be remiss of me not to tell everybody what's happening over in the other market. We've got that Dow was down triple digits here early, 168 points lower. And again, I say to everybody, look, we've had a 400-point range in the Dow futures here already today, so that could be a little bit of a bumpy ride here. And also, as Brian just mentioned, let's take a quick look at crude oil. Crude oil also is a little bit better here, marching towards that $90 a barrel level. Brian, we've got some analysts that we've had on the show that thinks we could top round number on 90, 91 bucks a barrel. It'll be interesting to see if that happens, because if we continue to see these energy prices skyrocket, that could hurt us.
Yeah, I think we easily could get to 90, 91, and if there is an invasion, Russia invades Ukraine, I don't know that we know where the market's going to go. 100, 105, I think it's certainly a possibility if something like that would happen. Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, nobody wants any war or anybody to get hurt or anything, but I tell you what, we're going to have a lot to talk about here, and I like to have a lot to talk about. It's a lot of fun. So we'll wait and see, but I really appreciate you being on the show. First thing on a Monday morning, last day of the month. We'll keep an eye on it for everybody. That's Brian Hoops from Midwest Market Solutions. I'm Scott Schulte back here in Nashville. I'm going to throw it over to Janet.